And thank you all for coming today. We're so excited to have you here and give you an opportunity to get to know Simon Trautmann a little better.
Woo! Come on, this is a campaign launch. We gotta have the energy. Bring it. If any of y'all know Simon, come on now. You gotta bring the energy, yeah.
You gotta bring the energy and the enthusiasm, right? The passion.
Yes.
These are all words that we use to describe Simon, and I'm sure by the time we leave here today, you'll be describing him the same way. My name is Melissa Adams, and I am the Chief Operations Officer at Stanton Adams Consulting and the Executive Director of the Diversity Institute. This is my beautiful wife, best friend, and business partner, Cecilia Stanton Adams.
I pay her to say that.
Go ahead, introduce yourself, Cecilia.
I'm Cecilia Stanton Adams, and I am the CEO of Stanton Adams Consulting and the Diversity Institute. And we take diversity and inclusion seriously. I mean, we've made it our life's work. And we do the work because of our own experiences of growing up in poverty and watching people struggle to try to make a living for themselves and for their family. You know, I've been really upset with political officials lately. I don't know about you. But I've started to get the feeling that these folks don't represent me, us, our voice.
Our values.
Exactly. And, you know, we want to get behind people that really do, that are aligned with our values and that really believe in justice, in equality. And so when I heard that Simon Trautmann was going to be running, I didn't even ask for what. I was just like, sign me up. So I'll say it was probably a little over a decade ago, I needed a lawyer. And as a first-generation American, both my parents are from Honduras, and from someone who grew up in poverty, I don't know any lawyers, and I don't even know what to look for. But even worse, like I didn't trust anyone with something that was gonna be like so personal to me. So when we met Simon, we immediately was put at ease. I mean, he had us laughing during a time when we wanted to cry. And he stayed by our side in many ways throughout the years. He helped us to start our business and the second one. And he's just always there to lift us up whenever we need it. You know, after George Floyd, we got to really see what people believe in. Not what they say, but actually what they do. And this man did a lot. And I think it really challenged a lot of us to really think about who do we want to see in political office representing us? I believe Simon Trautmann is one of those officials.
I do too. So without any further ado, we'd like to introduce you to some people who know Simon on a little bit of a deeper level. They'll get to give you a chance and some insight into their relationship, friendship with Simon, and into the ideologies and theories that Simon may have as it pertains to all of us, right? So first, I'd like to introduce our first speaker. He's a longtime friend, not only of Simon, but of ours as well, and has done a lot in Minnesota to exact change as it pertains to Minnesotans of African heritage. And I'm just honored to introduce you to Mr. Justin Terrell. Come on up.
All right.
Woo!
Good afternoon. My name is Justin Terrell. I am a friend of the Trautmann family and a longtime advocate for criminal justice reform in the state of Minnesota. I'm here in my personal capacity to say that I'm so excited about Simon and this campaign. Simon is a strong leader. He has got progressive values. He is somebody who shows up in community. And you know what I mean when I talk about showing up in community. For folks who are having the worst day of their lives, who need support, who don't know how to navigate systems, Simon is the guy that shows up quietly behind the scenes and supports them in some of the most powerful ways. Families grieving, people facing barriers to housing because of the criminal legal system. Simon has done that work, and the people who know. And it's time for all of Hennepin County to know a little bit more about Simon. We have been through hell and high water. My one quick story about Simon is after the murder of George Floyd, when I was working for the state representing everyone in the African heritage community, Simon reached out to help plan the memorial service for George Floyd. Now, being his friend, I knew that he had also just lost a family member. And the fact that his grieving process ran parallel with the grieving process of our community and of the world, who had all their eyes focused on Minnesota. At the same time, I was charged with advising the governor and the legislature on how to respond. The fact that he and I got to get down and serve the community through that moment is an experience that helped me navigate the trauma that I think all of us were feeling at the time. So why am I standing here today talking about a political campaign? Because Simon's not a politician. Simon is a servant of the people. Simon wakes up every day with conviction in his heart on thinking about what we need. And what we need right now is someone who is trying to bring us together after what we've been through to really rebuild our systems of justice. And I'll close with saying this to give you an example of the things that me and Simon talk about. Our current criminal legal system is focused on punitive measures. It's a hammer, the rest of us are nails. It has one way of responding. Justice is not just punitive. Justice needs to be procedural and fair. Justice needs to be able to equitably divide resources. Justice, when necessary, should use punitive methods. But no punitive method should be used without restorative practices so that all of us can heal after we experience harm. You heard people say hurt people hurt people. Healed people also heal people.
Yes.
And we need somebody, in the county attorney's seat that understands that it is not just about prosecution, it is about procedural justice. It is about investing resources equitably. And it is about, yes, when necessary, prosecuting people. It is also about repairing harm when it is done. And Simon thinks about that through economic lenses. He thinks about that through criminal justice lenses. And he thinks about that entire body of justice, the relational, beautiful concept of justice that we have been wrestling with for the last 18 months in very painful ways. Simon thinks about those things not from a political perspective, but in a how can I show up and help the community perspective. And that's why I'm here today, taking time away from work, setting all things aside in my personal capacity to be here, to say that I believe Simon is the kind of progressive leader that we need for Hennepin County.
And now I'd like to bring up Annie Sully. Annie is a student at North Central University majoring in media communication. She is also the director of research at the Institute of Digital Humanity. Please welcome Annie.
Hello, like previously said, my name is Annie, or Anna Lane Salee. I'm currently a student in my third year at North Central University, where I'm the director of research for Institute for Humanity, which is just a student-run nonprofit that works with digital ethics. I'm very excited and honored to be able to speak here today. It's kind of funny that I'm giving a speech at my speech professor's campaign launch. Not nerve-wracking at all. I have known Simon Trautmann for about a year and a half, and I've had the opportunity to be taught by Professor Trautmann in my second year for an advanced presentation and persuasion class. The year I took Professor Trautmann's class was one of the hardest years of many of our lives. COVID-19 took over our world. It reconstructed every aspect of our lives, especially within education. Nevertheless, Professor Trautmann always had a smile on his face. Any student can tell he only wanted the best for them. I'll never forget something that he said that he probably thought nothing of. You mean treating them like an actual human being? To give context, we were discussing how easy it is nowadays to be disrespectful when having conversations with people you do not agree with. Whether it be politics, religion, anything, our country and our world has had a decrease in compassion for one another. This little question Professor Trautmann raised about a year ago has lived with me in almost every conversation I've had since. His class in general reminded me how much kindness can go. Moving on to the next semester, I was a TA for a media law class that was taught by Professor Trautmann, Dr. Aaron McCain, and Tom Freeman, who is a former Assistant Attorney General for the state of Nebraska and is currently a professor at Creighton University. At NCU, especially within our communications program and the IDH, we pride ourselves on our diverse way of thought. We have students from all over, all walks of life, taking this class, and professors too. I remember watching how kind and thoughtful Professor Trautmann was in class. Despite having polar opposite beliefs of some, he never failed to talk to every person like a human being. He never failed to see them as a friend. I don't exactly know where I'll end up in life, but no matter where I do, I hope and pray I'll never forget the impacts Professor Trautmann has had in my life. I'm excited for all that will come out of his campaign and wait to see all the positive impacts it'll bring on our community. For everyone deserves a leader who sees them as a person and a friend. Thank you.
That is really, really important to be able to meet people where they are. And, especially when we're dealing with so much polarization in our communities. So to be able to meet people where they are, it takes a special someone. Sometimes we're all like, you know what, I'm going to leave you where you are, right? So at the end of the day, to be able to extend yourself, extend the empathy muscle, and meet people where they are, that's a characteristic that all of us don't carry, right? So it's important to keep that in mind. Some of the characteristics that people are using to describe Simon are the kind of characteristics that you want to see in the person representing you as a politician. Right? So let's keep it moving. I'd like to introduce you to a political activist, a former student of Simon's, and a good friend. Currently the Director of Development for the Institute for Digital Humanity. I'd like to introduce you to Julius Hernandez.
My name is Julius Hernandez, and I'm a former student of Simon's. I'm on his campaign team, and most of all, I'm one of his mentees. So, over the past couple of years, Simon and I have had some great conversations and some very, very spirited debates on the future of the city, the county, and the country. I grew up on the west side of Chicago with a single mom in a neighborhood that is less desirable than most for a single mom and some small kids, especially for a young man trying to find his way. My biological father was put in jail by a broken system working against young men like him and myself. As someone who is passionate about his community and passionate about being a problem solver, politics was my escape from becoming another statistic in my community. I spent all of my time watching the news, reading about candidates, and watching election coverage. Nonetheless, I was skeptical of the party that traditionally ran the state and city that I lived in. They claimed to be working for me and helping me and my family, but things only seemed to be getting worse, and it only became justified that I felt so cynical towards them. So as a young man, I took an alternative route to a party that I chose and whose ideology I fell in line with. By all means, I am not a traditional Democratic voter. But as a political activist and operative, I have struggled for a while with my political identity. Something that just didn't feel right. Who should I be? Who should I vote for? How can I stand up for the people of this city and the neighborhoods that are like mine every single day? As a man of mixed race, I felt for so long that traditional candidates were leaving me and the people I so love behind. And this is on both sides of the aisle. Not only in their policies, but in their genuine care for my concerns as someone who loves politics and loves helping people. Election season really only seemed to be the time that people came around to ask me for my opinion or to get the issues that really mattered to me the most. But as I look back on my conversation with these candidates and party politicians, there was only one thing that was really missing, and it was a genuine personality and care for the issues that matter to me and to the people who I love the most. As I think about what is it going to take to win this next election, especially for county attorney, I know that one thing it will take is someone who believes and acknowledges that the system is flawed for the people it should help the most. As someone who is not a traditional voter of the Democratic Party, I know it is people like Simon who, after some long conversations and honest engagement, convinced me that a candidate like him can reach people from all walks of the political spectrum. In a way, he eased the skepticism I so deeply had about the traditional party structure. If someone like me with a thick skull who breaks podiums can be convinced to not only switch parties, but to work for a Democrat, imagine how many others are out there waiting for someone like Simon to come knock on his door.
Yeah.
And just like Simon, this campaign, I will spend the rest of my time knocking on these doors to show people that the path lies with a candidate that truly cares about their everyday life. This next year, we're going to hear a lot of ideas and a lot of opinions about what makes sense going forward and what should be the mission and goals of the next county attorney. Simon can't do this alone. and he's not going to. We can all stand tall knowing that Simon's vision and passion for justice will triumph. His drive to see wrongs being corrected, a chance for people to finally feel like they have once again been put as a priority to their local government. I want to close this with a quote that I think captures Simon and his vision so well. It goes, "Never forget that justice is what love looks like in public." And so I'm excited to spend the next year alongside each and every one of you to make Simon our next Hennepin County attorney.
Thank you.
My name is Jonathan McClellan. I'm president of the Minnesota Justice Coalition. Today, I have the honor of supporting a man who needs no introduction. His legend has been built, and his accomplishments are too many to name. That man is Simon Trautmann. Most people strive their entire lives to achieve great success in a single field. Simon has succeeded in many at the highest level. He's enjoyed success because the common denominator is him. His work ethic, his attitude, his passion, his vision, and his refusal to take no for an answer. I've enjoyed the good fortune of working alongside Simon for several years, and I've seen these principles in action daily. His heart is in the right place. He cares about people. He cares about outcomes. He is not a political robot. He is authentic. As we start putting in motion the plan to repair the past, let us look to the future of what's possible and what's right and what's just. Simon has the strength to make hard decisions and motivate those around him to make the impossible possible. He is an optimist who chases big dreams and sees potential where others do not. He leads by example and will outwork anyone in any room. Simon is one of the best negotiators I've ever met. I've stood by his side and watched him make deals that seemed impossible to get done. He has the discernment to understand what the other people need and the tenacity to get what's needed. Whether it's high-stakes meetings with the governor and Speaker of the Senate, being a voice with the Justice Department to seek accountability, or standing with the community. Simon knows how to be a fierce opponent, but also knows how to be compassionate to others and be a loyal friend. Throughout his career, he has been repeatedly called upon by local government in the city and city council of Richfield, by clients he represents in his law firm, and when founding the Minnesota Justice Coalition, I wanted Simon to be a board member. Family, faith, community, fairness, and the rule of law and hard work. These are the values that shaped Simon as he grew up in South Minneapolis and Richfield. Simon consistently succeeds where government has failed before him. I consider myself fortunate to have worked with the best. Simon believes that we all have a responsibility to make a positive contribution to society. Here today, he is leading by example. Hennepin County is at a crossroads. Our leadership has been mired in bureaucracy of its own creation. If we don't adapt politically, racially, and together, we will be left behind. Simon wants to create a system that doesn't just work, but serves the people. He addresses the many challenges in Hennepin County, such as no action, no communication, no empathy, and a failure to execute. We need someone who is an independent thinker and with a proven track record of successfully listening, creating, and building. I can tell you that there is no better person than Simon to have in your corner when you're facing the tough opponents or making hard decisions. He is battle-tested. He shows up when others duck for cover or hide behind the issue when it's not politically correct. This campaign isn't about division. This campaign isn't about one person. This campaign isn't a political ideology. This campaign isn't about a feather in the cap. It's about saving lives. It's about the law. It's about seeing the humanity in everyone. It's about building trust. It's about the ideal that justice is blind and sees no race, religion, sexual orientation, color, creed, or economic status. This campaign is about all of us. This campaign is about our future. So I'll end with a quote from Martin Luther King Jr. Law and order exists for the purpose of establishing justice, and when they fail in this purpose, they become dangerously structured dams that block the full flow of social progress. Simon will be the plumber that is needed to unclog this dam and let justice flow like a never-ending stream. Thank you.
It is an honor for me to be here today to stand beside my brother Simon and all of the work that he has done to support our families who have lost loved ones at the hands of police. I am the founder of Family Supporting Families Against Police Violence, and I work with many families that have lost loved ones at the hands of law enforcement, as I too lost the father of my son, Justin Tigan, at 24 years old. He was brutally beat to death and thrown in a dumpster by the St. Paul Police Department. Simon has came many times to many of our meetings and sat down with our families and talked to us, listened to us. He showed up at family events that we hold to uplift our loved ones that we lost. It takes a person with humanity that loves all people, no matter what you look like, no matter what you have or don't have, no matter what you did wrong in the past, no matter what your economic status. But for a human being like Simon to still see our loved ones, to still see our loved ones and the humanity that each one of those lives that have been stolen, Simon sees that. Simon has literally been a brother. He has literally been someone that our families can say have come out and just listened and heard from our families, and we cannot say that for everyone. People get into these political seats and they forget about the people that matter the most. The people that are out in the community that are hurting, they forget about that. But Simon did not do that. Simon is standing up for what we all know in our hearts is right, and that's for human life. There is nothing more important than human life, and that is what Simon stands for. So it is an honor for me to speak on Simon's behalf. When I walked into George Floyd's funeral, and Simon guided me into the funeral and made sure we had all these politicians there that were weeping and crying. But these are the same politicians that we had been out and pleaded for their help prior to George Floyd. We had been asking and begging because there has been over 470 murders at the hands of law enforcement here in the state of Minnesota in the last 20 years. And out of those murders, we only know of the high-profile cases, which is George Floyd, Dante Wright, Jamar Clark, and Philando Castile, and then a little bit of Winston Smith. But behind every high-profile case that you hear about, there's 100 murders behind those cases.
Gonzalez, the mayor of Richfield, and it's just an honor to be here lifting up Simon and his leadership, and it's been so great to listen to what everybody has to say, because I've had the pleasure of leading day by day and alongside Simon on the Richfield City Council. I think there's days and there's months where we probably see each other more than we see our family. We've had moments where we've cried together. We've had very tough moments over the past 4 years leading and governing in Richfield. And we've had beautiful transformational moments as well. And just thinking about what everybody has said to date, you hear a consistent message. We didn't work together to talk about what are we each going to say. Simon asked us to speak in support of his leadership, and we are saying the same things over and over again. And that's one message that I want to make clear. With Simon, you get what you see, and he's very direct and transparent and consistent with his leadership. He's extremely authentic. He puts community first. He's able to hold tension of the complex issues that we are confronting collectively. He goes out and does the work in community. He is consistently pushing up against the status quo. And I can say, as a colleague on the city council, that is a huge role that Simon plays. He's always pushing us to think past our status quo and how could we be doing things better. And not from a deficit perspective, and you can hear that in what everybody's saying. Simon has this clear vision of a leadership in a world that includes everybody, where everybody can be joyous, happy, included, and fulfill their dreams. And that's not counter to challenging the status quo and pushing and asking really tough questions. And that's what I've seen consistently in Simon's day-to-day leadership on the Richfield City Council. Everything you hear from everybody is consistent. And I see that, and I'm so thankful that I get to lead alongside you, Simon. You have made me a better community leader. You have made the city of Richfield such a better community, more welcoming, more inclusive, and you're constantly, constantly pushing. And once Simon gets on something, he does not let go. I won't get into all the different stories that I've had to go, and I've experienced with Simon, but Simon is a fierce advocate. He doesn't drop things. He keeps pushing and pushing and pushing, and he does it all the way from that place that's embedded and informed by community.
My parents met and married on the University of Minnesota campus, an interracial marriage. When they went to their pastor to marry them, they were told they could not get married by their pastor on the University of Minnesota campus because they were told they would have spotted children. So they went down the block, got married at a different church. I was born and raised on the south side of Minneapolis. My story is a Minneapolis story. I went to Minneapolis Public my entire career. Justin Terrell's mother and grandmother were my babysitters growing up, actually. I've lived in this metro area 40 years. I've lived 38 of those years in Hennepin County. And I have watched and experienced and researched what's going on in those 4 decades. The past couple of years have been particularly difficult because it's very challenging to understand what in the heck is going on. Yeah. But I've got 40 years. I know exactly what's going on. We need new leadership with fresh vision.
Yes.
I've known Simon for a very long time. He's my friend. He's my brother. We've traveled together to Africa. We've cried together. He was on my front porch a couple weeks ago. When I think about what it takes to build a business, right, I'm a business leader. In Brown Venture Group, we call it business at the speed of relationship. You go as fast as you can go, but as slow as you must to make sure you don't do any damage or break anything. And what's in the middle of all of that? What makes a successful business and a successful business relationships? Trust. Yeah. Trust is everything. And if something were to happen to me today and my wife and our children needed somebody to talk to figure out what goes next, I would trust Simon to talk to them about that. If something happened in our business and we were facing some serious challenges, I would trust Simon to talk to us about those challenges. And as I think about the future of this city that I love, where my umbilical cord is buried, embedded in this county that I love, I can't think of any leader that I would rather have as the next Hennepin County attorney than Simon Trautmann. He's proven, he's humble, he gets it done. And so it's an extreme honor and privilege today to introduce to you the next Hennepin County attorney, Simon Trautmann.
Thank you and good afternoon, and I appreciate everybody taking time out of their day to come here, and I'm just particularly grateful. There are too many thank yous to name, but I want to thank my wife, Jennifer Trautmann, and my children. And my children, my oldest son is named Justice, and my youngest son is named Leander, which means lion-like.
Oh, wow.
And that's what we need right here. We need young voices, we need justice, and we need a lion-like attitude. I also want to say a special thank you to everybody that came, but especially somebody that people don't know by name, but Twee Jones, my campaign manager, thank you so much. And sometimes it's hard to follow a tough act. It's really hard to follow like a dozen tough acts. But I wanna say a word about how we got here and where we need to go as a county and as a community. And we need to start with some truth telling, if I can be honest. We have to start, before we can talk about the next thing we need to do, we need to talk about what's broken. We need to talk about what's not working. And then we need to talk about, some folks, you'll hear a lot of talk about reform. And what do we need to do to reform? But reform is what we do for policies. But we don't just have broken policies. We have some of the best policies in the country. We have some of the best policies in the world. But we have our broken relationships and broken systems. And broken systems and broken relationships don't need reform. If I break a relationship with a friend, I need to repair that relationship. Yes. And so you're going to be hearing a lot about what we need to do to repair. And part of the brokenness we have is a broken trust. Is that right?
That's right.
We have a broken trust. We have a broken trust with the government, and not just one end of the government, right? We can talk about a broken trust with the criminal justice system. But somebody said the phrase, they talked about procedural justice. Procedural justice is what happens when you show up to a system and it treats you fairly. And I want to break apart that notion that says fairness is something we only care about in one part of Hennepin County. Fairness is something we care about in every part of Hennepin County. And so when we talk about repair and we talk about broken trust, we want to lift up the voices of people who've been violated by government, violated by the criminal justice system. But we also have to talk about people who want to be safe in their own homes. We want to talk about people who've been victims of violence. And people, many of the people who I meet who've experienced violence don't want the term victim. They want to be known as a survivor and overcomer of crime. So I want to talk about those survivors and overcomers. I want to talk about Dr. Aaron McCain, who's here today, who's an incredible advocate, civil rights advocate, scholar, director of the Institute for Digital Humanity. He also had a bullet that came right through his living room with his wife, Allison, who was in the house over in North Minneapolis just this week. Just this week. And as I talked to them, they're so strong. They're so brave. I said, how are you doing? They said, we're okay. We're okay, but their voice matters. Their voice is important. And it seems like there's no space in which we can have the conversation that says the voices of survivors and the voices that want justice all want something that we can call fairness. And what we're doing in this campaign is not just calling out what's wrong, but we need to call into existence what could be. A system that's fairer. A system that lifts up. Yes, yes. A system that begins relationship by relationship and system by system. Not policies, but systems. And systems are the practices of things that happen over and over again with nobody even thinking about them. We need to repair those systems. We need to repair those relationships. And it starts with violent crime. But how many of you know that it's not just about violence, but it's about economic justice and economic fairness?
Yes.
We have, we have, many of you may not know this, we have some of the best anti-wage theft laws in the country right here in Minnesota. You might be surprised to learn that there has only been one wage theft case prosecuted in Hennepin County. Now you might, before you get too upset, that's exactly one more than every other county in the state. Wage theft. When a worker trades his labor or her labor for a wage, and an employer steals that wage, just says, I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to give it to you. Now, if a worker steals hundreds of dollars from an employer, we know what to do then. There's a system that doesn't need repair that knows how to prosecute that crime. But when an employer steals from a worker, we have historically called that a civil problem. That is a criminal problem. That is a crime. And that's a system that needs repair. And that's a relationship with workers that needs repair too. So when they look at the government, they don't say, I guess I'm on my own. I guess I need to hire a lawyer for hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars to try to get justice. No, they should be able to look to the Office of County Attorney and find that justice and receive that justice and begin to build confidence in systems and begin to build confidence in their neighbors. And I'm here to suggest something very humbly, because I know even in this room, even from this podium, there are cross hurts, right? There's cross pain. There's pain because of over-policing, and there's pain because of under-policing. And we need to hold all of them, and we need to begin relationship by relationship to build that trust back together, to build trust in the office of county attorney. So I'm asking you not just to call out folks, but call into existence with me a fairer system, a fair and a new set of expectations. That's not just an expectation for Minneapolis, it's not just an expectation for St. Bonifacius or Bloomington. It's an expectation of fairness in Hennepin County. And so thank you everybody here for your support. I'm asking for your vote, I'm asking for your voice, and I'm asking for your listening ear, because the truth that we may need to hear might be in the voice of somebody you don't know. Thank you so much.